from the res life, big lessons for the world, dreaming big.
Welcome back to the Willie Cheez Education Channel. I'm Delmar. Here, we uncover inspiring life lessons through Willie Cheez's adventures, blending Navajo culture and modern insights on personal and business growth. Each story is crafted to fuel your journey toward wisdom and resilience, whether it's about leadership, cultural heritage, or building your dreams. Today, we'll be exploring Willie Cheez and the weight of guilt and blame. Part 1. The Burden of the Past. Willie Cheez had always been a thoughtful person, often reflecting on his life and the lives of those around him. Growing up on the reservation, he had seen many people struggle with the weight of their pasts, whether it was guilt over something they had done or blame for something that had been done to them. It was a burden that seemed to hold them back, preventing them from moving forward and living the lives they truly wanted. Willie had heard the stories of people who couldn't let go of the anger they felt toward their parents for not being there, or the resentment they harbored toward a sibling or family member who had wronged them. He knew people who were haunted by the trauma of being molested or abused, or who had fallen into the trap of drugs and alcohol, blaming those around them for their downfall. And then there were those who had been victims of cruel rumors or bad relationships, their self-worth crushed by the opinions of others. It was a painful reality, one that Willie knew all too well. But he also knew that if people continued to hold on to these feelings, they would never be able to change their lives for the better. Part 2. The Power of Holding On. Willie had seen how powerful guilt and blame could be. He had watched as friends and family members used their pasts as excuses not to change, not to take control of their lives. They would say things like, "I can't do that because of what happened to me," or "I'm this way because of my parents," or "If only things had been different, I wouldn't be stuck here." It was as if they were carrying around a heavy load, one that kept them rooted in place, unable to move forward. Willie understood that these feelings were real and valid, but he also knew that holding on to them was like drinking poison and expecting someone else to suffer. He remembered a conversation he had with an elder who had once been caught in that same cycle of guilt and blame. The elder had told him, "Willie, you can't change what happened in the past, but you can change how you let it affect your future. The more you hold on to the hurt, the more power you give it over your life, and the more you blame others, the less control you have over your own destiny." Those words had stuck with Willie. He realized that if he wanted to help others, he needed to find a way to show them that they could let go of the past and reclaim their power. Part 3. The Reality of Blame. Willie knew that letting go of blame wasn't easy. It required courage, self-reflection, and a willingness to take responsibility for one's own life. He had seen how blame could become a crutch, a way to avoid facing the difficult truths about oneself. It was easier to blame someone else for your problems than to look in the mirror and ask, "What can I do to change this?" Willie had also seen how blame could create a cycle of negativity, where people felt trapped in their own pain, unable to see a way out. It was like being stuck in quicksand. The more you struggled, the deeper you sank. But Willie also knew that there was a way out. He had learned from his own experiences that the first step was to stop blaming others and start taking responsibility for your own life. It didn't mean excusing what had happened or pretending that the pain wasn't real. It meant acknowledging that while you couldn't change the past, you could choose how you responded to it. Part 4. Letting Go and Moving Forward. One day, Willie decided to share what he had learned with a group of young people who were struggling with their own burdens of guilt and blame. He sat them down and told them about his own journey, how he had once been caught in the same cycle, feeling powerless and trapped by the weight of his past. "I used to think that my life was shaped by what others did to me," Willie began. "I blamed my parents for not being there, my friends for leading me astray, and even myself for not being strong enough. But then I realized something. As long as I kept blaming others, I was giving away my power. I was letting them control my life, even after the hurt had passed. Willie looked at the group, seeing the pain in their eyes. He knew they were holding on to their own burdens, just as he had once done. The truth is, you have the power to change your life, he continued. But to do that, you have to let go of the past. You have to stop blaming others and start taking responsibility for your own happiness. It's not easy, but it's the only way forward. He then shared a story about a man who had been through unimaginable pain, abused as a child, caught in a cycle of addiction, and ostracized by his community. But instead of letting that define him, the man had made a choice. He decided that he wasn't going to be a victim anymore. He took control of his life, got clean, and dedicated himself to helping others who were struggling with the same issues. Today, that man was known as Uncle G, a successful entrepreneur and a beacon of hope for those who felt lost. Uncle G could have spent his life blaming others, Willie said, but he didn't. He chose to rise above his past and create a new future for himself, and if he can do it, so can you. Part 5. A Future Free from the Past. As Willie finished his story, he could see the change in the young people's faces. They were beginning to understand that holding on to guilt and blame was only hurting them, not the people they blamed. They realized that they had the power to change their own lives, to break free from the chains of the past. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting, Willie told them. It means forgiving yourself and others, and choosing to focus on what you can do today to make your life better. It means taking responsibility for your own happiness and not letting anyone else dictate your future. Willie knew that the journey ahead wouldn't be easy for them, but he also knew that it was possible. He had seen the power of letting go and taking control, and he wanted them to see it too. Embracing the future. As Willie Cheez walked away from the group, he felt a sense of peace. He knew that he had planted a seed of hope in their hearts, a seed that, with time and effort, could grow into something powerful and transformative. He understood that the past could be a heavy burden, but he also knew that it didn't have to define the future. By letting go of guilt and blame, by taking responsibility for their own lives, they could break free from the cycle that had held them back for so long. And with that, Willie Cheez made a promise to himself and to the people he had spoken to continue spreading this message of empowerment, to help others see that they had the power to change their own lives, and to show them that the future was theirs to create.
From the res life, big lessons for the world, dreaming big.